This is the worst tier 9 tank in the whole game in my opinion. It's the M103, the tier 9 tech tree American tank that leads to the T125. That is even worse considering that right now in the game those tanks received a huge nerf that was probably not deserved. And you're probably wondering why I'm telling you that this tank sucks, because usually American tanks are known for their strong hull armor, turret armor, pretty much everything is strong about them frontally. Unfortunately, the M103 is a whole exception, because it's completely weakened by the fact that the turret is rounded. And of course, when you have a rounded turret that only features 184mm at the front and facing tanks that can penetrate to more than 300mm, you get wrecked. The worst part of it is that regardless of how you're gonna use your tank, you will get penetrated in the turret cheeks. I'm using my 8 degrees of gun depression, boom, I can get penetrated. I'm trying to turn just a little bit my turret, boom, I'm getting penetrated. There is nothing you can do that will prevent you from getting completely wrecked by your opponents. So well, in the end, let's say that this thing is just struggling overall. You're gonna see, and this is probably one of the most perfect replays I've ever done with this tank to highlight the problem of the turret, and I just hope that Wargaming will sooner or later do something about it. Please Wargaming, if you're watching that video, give it at least a real strong turret. That's all I'm asking for, because otherwise we are getting completely wrecked with it. Just take a look at how big the turret is. I forgot to mention that, but the size is just... it's too much. I mean, come on Wargaming, you could have done a little bit better on this one. And now you see that I'm starting to get wrecked, and do not worry, it's gonna continue over again and again and again. Now, of course, this tank still has some good sides. 8 degrees of gun depression, a really good penetration, the GPM is not that bad without being the best ever. But you can still do things. You can still do things as long as you're not alone. The problem is that usually when people go from the T32, which is a tank with which you can roll in all down, and they climb up to the M103, which is a worse version that features less armor and more mobility, they're confused, because after all, this is pretty much not what you would expect from a tier 9 like that. And, well, you gotta deal with it until you get to the T125. Just take a look at the number of shots we took straight into the weak spot. It's just ridiculous. It's literally like getting wrecked without being able to do anything. You can't sustain on the battlefield. Even here, by being all down, I still can get penetrated. And this makes up for nothing, because that tank is made just to suffer. Now let's try to see if we can do something on the Chimera. I lost pretty much all my hit points right now. I have way too many enemies running around. I have one on the left, one on the right. I don't know really how to act, and I'm gonna do the mistake, the mighty mistake. Here we go on the Chimera, trying to move as fast as we can our tank in order to avoid getting penetrated on the cupola, because yes, you also have that problem. And now, don't worry, the mistake is coming. 3, 2, 1... and this is not here. Yeah, I got shot by an HE shell. Maybe one thing I forgot about it that makes it good is probably the fact that, well, your mobility will allow you kind of to take the good positions. Of course, it's not the best at all. Don't expect that tank to be as mobile as a medium tank, because even the heaviest medium tank still has a best mobility than this one. And is it a problem? No. To be fair, on that part, the tank can still do well. For example, here, even if I'm not the fastest and not being the first one to brawl against my opponents, I can still try to find an all-down position, which leads me to the latest point on that video. How are you supposed to play the M103? It doesn't work in all down. It doesn't work in side scrape, because obviously the tank, as it's an American one, has extremely lightly armored sides. So what are you supposed to do? The answer is simple. It consists in 2 words: peekaboo, or maybe it's 3 if you count the in front. But basically, this tactic consists in trying to find an all-down position, sneaking your shot without even trying to aim, and going back to safe cover as soon as possible. By doing that, you're gonna first dodge the bullets that will probably either hit the big cupola you have on the tank, or if you're unlucky, the turret cheeks. And secondly, it will also allow you to experience the peekaboo technique, because that's a common use on a lot of tanks, Leo 1 or U251, on pretty much every single mediums, plus some heavies and tank destroyers, like it's the case right there. Now, how do you want to apply this? Do you need to be completely alone on one side? Can you brawl against other tier 9s, tier 8, tier 10? In my opinion, no. You don't want to brawl with the M103 completely alone. If you go lonely against tier 9s, you're probably gonna get killed because you're one of the worst ones. If you are going against a tier 8, it can do the job as long as the guy in front of you is bad. If he's good, it's over for you as well. Except maybe if you manage to get it with the DPM, but if he's good, he will penetrate every single one of his shots, because there is no way you can bounce anything, judging by how we're playing like that. Oh, just take a look at that. I got penetrated with HE. 325 on my tank. Like, what the heck is that? Do you call that really a turret wargaming? I don't think so. So I was saying, sorry, I forgot what I was about to say. I was telling you that it's important with that tank not to be alone. Don't try to brawl. If you're going against tier 8s, make sure not to be alone, because otherwise you're probably going to get destroyed. Nice one if it's your lightweight. If you're facing tier 9, definitely don't go alone. And finally, tier 10, it's not even a try. Don't even bother trying to get on a tier 10, except if it's a turretless tank destroyer and you have the possibility of circling it, which leads you to less options, even close to none, when you're playing with this tank. It's kind of like you had to play in support with the mediums. This is where that tank performs the best, going with the mediums and trying to hold down peekaboo against mediums, because you're going to scare them, and after all, those are easy targets to penetrate. And if you're not allowed to do that, or if you just can't because of your placement on the map, don't worry. If you stick as a second line heavy with your heavies, you shouldn't struggle. Now let's focus on the latest part of that replay. As you can see, I got 4 kills and nearly 4k damage by now. And I'm trying to lurk around, seeing where I can find the WZ. I have two things in mind. I know where the Chimera is, and I know the latest position of the WZ, which was near the little building you see in front of me right now. But yeah, the WZ tried something, and here my great accuracy will help me. Bang, HE straight into the WZ, literally destroying half his hit points in one shot. God bless my RNG. Now we have to deal with a Chimera, but I see that my Chimera is going for him. I know he's gonna reload before, so I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna go straight on the WZ to be able to help my Chimera without him being destroyed. So there we go, wasting the first shot. As you can see, I'm switching to hit shells because I told you one of the main advantages of the tank is the penetration. There we go, aiming, killing the WZ in the process as the Chimera kills the other Chimera, sitting at 5 kills and 5k damage. Obviously, as this tank is less and less played, getting 5k damage and 5 kills will get you an ace tanker, like it's my case right there. But even judging by how I made that ace tanker, you understood that I was lucky and that the tank was not the best. So in my opinion, if you want a good advice, right now, even the T125 is not worth it. So let's not bother even grinding for the M103, the T125 and all of those tanks, because the whole line is just pain in the ass. Just to do a brief summary of this line. Until the M6, you're gonna have fun. After the M6, it's boring. The T29 is slow. Even if it's a good tank, it's slow. T32, it's slow and bad. M103, it's bad and fast. And T125, it's bad. Well, don't bother doing anything with those. Hopefully, you will find this review before grinding the T125, and maybe it will help you. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.